guys, what's up? My name is Akid, and I'm here to tell you about Tuk-Tuk, City Commutes Made Easy. So freshman year, I got myself somehow onto one of the best IM rec teams I could find for soccer. I was like, listen, I'm actually winning my championship my first year here, and I gotta show up and show out every single time. My friend told me that the first game is gonna be at Whitaker Park, which is the IM field. I think most of y'all know about it. So I was like, you know what, so being a new kid in Austin, first of all, I did not know where that was. I thought it'd be this far away, which isn't too bad of a walk from Chester. But you can imagine my surprise when I went onto Google Maps and put in Whitaker and was faced with this image. I was not gonna walk 2.5 miles with a bag on my back, especially after I'm gonna be sore after a game. So I started freaking out because this discovery is something that I got only 30 minutes before my first game. All my friends were busy or did not have cars, so that was kind of a done option. The bus was a 30-minute ride, but I think that was not enough for me to get there. And also, I just knew with my busy schedule, I cannot afford 30 minutes back and forth every single game day. And Uber for just this route cost $15. I knew that my net worth would be half of what it was by the end of the month if I actually kept doing that. Thing is, I'm not the only one that's had this problem. 55% of students at UT Austin do not own a car. And from this insight, we started thinking at Tuk-Tuk, how can we fix this problem of not having a middle ground between convenience and affordability? That small circle you see on the screen over there has 30,000 students in a 1-mile radius. From our own market research over 8 months, we've seen that students tend to travel to the same locations in a pretty homogeneous manner. So we start off with a hub, which is just a city hotspot, and we connect hubs to make something that we like to call the hub model. So essentially, the hub model connects the busiest student spots in Austin. And here are just some few random examples just off the top, just to kind of give you guys a better idea of what we're talking about. So most students go to HEB to shop for groceries. Students also go to UT Austin because, we're students, big whoop. And some classes can be a 2-mile walk away. Downtown and Zoka are both places that are often frequented, especially for weekends and just time off. The fact is, for every single one of these routes, people want convenient and affordable travel. And that's where Tuk-Tuk comes in. We provide scheduled car shuttles between Austin hubs. So, from our model is able to provide us the busiest routes at the busiest times, and that's exactly what we try to service every single day. So we optimize the cities because through our routes we have high rider volume routes, and also we're scalable because we can control what hubs to add and take off depending on market research. So we're not trying to blanket the whole city with rides, but just the rides that we want to service. Now Uber Pool was financially unstable and it was shut down in 2019. However, one thing it did prove was the fact on the business routes, Uber Pool was quite profitable. It shows the fact that in the cities, busy routes, when it comes to carpooling or shuttling, can be profitable. So riders like us because we're affordable, being about a third of the price of Uber itself, and we're also safe and fast compared to a scooter and of course a bus. Now for drivers, we go to Uber drivers and we say, listen, we can give you scheduled price surge pricing. And what that means is that for a scheduled shift, you have a guaranteed pay. And you also get more riders per hour compared to what Uber and Lyft might give you for whatever time you spend with your Tuk-Tuk. So we would explain this to you guys is give you a case study of Capital Factory itself. So we've been giving a ride here for the past semester and we've had 9 operational days. In those 9 days, we've had 109 total bookings, 2.1 riders per car with a net revenue average of $9.4 per car. Can you raise your hand if you use a Tuk-Tuk to get here at any given point? So yeah, we have a lot of class use it, and we have some power users, and from that we've learned a lot about what our product needs to develop and what it's doing good on already. So thank you guys for raising your hand. So, in a perfect world, with a perfect ride-sharing app, we would basically have teleportation because we would have the minimum amount of time needed to go from A to B, and also have basically free costs. But we can't get that. What we have right now is, for example, Uber, which is pretty convenient, but is very, it's not very affordable. We have scooters, which is kind of the worst of both worlds, being 25 minutes and also $10. And of course, buses, which is very much affordable, but is quite inconvenient in terms of time and also at times safety. Tuk-Tuk is something we believe in because we see that it's the middle ground for both convenience and affordability. This is not supposed to be there, but I can just talk about it, and for the demo day, we know what to fix. So our breakdown for the average was $945 per ride. We give 70% over to the driver, and that leaves us with about, after operational costs, a profit of $1.5. That shows that our model is profitable and also sustainable at this scale, and hopefully as you scale up as well, which is what we're trying to prove throughout the next months. So in 6 months, then again, I'm sorry for the horrible font. We try to fix this next time. Canva does not transfer over to PDF well. So in the 6 months, the past 6 months, we've been building more than anything else. We have 100% Bootstrap in Rider app, and Driver app, and an admin dashboard. That's way past just an MVP phase. It's quite functional. You guys have been using it. You can find it on the App Store. Despite being heads down in business, legal, and of course also tech, we have completed 142 paid rides and have a 300 student long wait list. Our goal come UT Austin, our goal come fall 2023 is going to be a UT Austin public release. So you can see us a lot more next semester, where we'll be a lot more public, a lot more in your face about it, and can hopefully give you guys a lot more flexibility and rides to wherever you want to go in Austin. You can sign that QR code to sign up. Thank you.
Great first pitch. Good job.
Hello everyone. Today, I'd like to tell you a personal story. Last September, I left my hometown Vienna, in the heart of Europe, to embark on an exchange in Texas. Being the only exchange student for my university, at first I felt lost and lonely in the vast landscape of UT Austin. In order to make the most out of my experience here in the limited amount of time I had, I embarked on a quest to discover and experience all the events happening on campus. However, quickly I found myself overwhelmed by the vast number of events scattered across hundreds of niche social media channels hosted by different organizations and clubs, making it absolutely impossible to efficiently see what was going on campus. So, with a couple of other exchange students, which I met in the first week, we made it our mission to scour campus and find out about every single party, event, and org meeting going on. To help out other exchange students in the same boat, we decided to make a specifically created Instagram account and post a streamlined, compact, and summarized overview of each week happening on campus for exchange students. Very quickly, however, we realized that this problem was faced by thousands of normal UT students, as we saw our Instagram account grow to over 2,000 followers in just a couple of days. We found out at the same time this was also a problem that organizations and event planners were facing, as it led to a significant loss of revenue, as they could not efficiently showcase the events that were going on in their org. And so, Cove College Events was born. We met the right people with Johnson and Miguel, and in a couple of weeks we built an app that turned UT's campus from its silo-like nature into one big, connected, eventful ecosystem. By allowing orgs and local businesses to publish their events on a targeted platform, this app would connect students to the events that they were looking for. And the students, they absolutely loved it. Cove has acquired over 7,000 UT users in the past 16 weeks. And the best part about this, we spent $0 in marketing and it's been entirely organic. Our growth has been organic, proving that there is an actual demand for our products. However, more recently, some orgs came to us and they said they've got a couple of problems they're facing. They told us that currently they needed to use a single platform for event discovery, they needed to use a single platform for event promotion, and then an all-new platform for ticketing and RSVPs. This problem turned out to be a blessing in disguise for Cove, as it tied in directly into our monetization procedure. We solved this problem by introducing an end-to-end event management platform, by allowing orgs to host their events, promote their events, and ticket events. Now, this is where our business model came into play. We evolved to include paid featured listings, paid push notifications to facilitate event promotion, and furthermore, by solving the ticketing problem, Cove had released another source of monetization as we collect a small buyer processing fee each time. Now, offering these solutions not only made our platform more valuable to our customers, but also generated Cove's first revenue. Now, we currently have over 70 organizations actively posting on our platform, totaling to over 600 events posted since our launch. Finally, as I'm now preparing to say goodbye to Texas, I can proudly say that with the help of this amazing team, we have built Cove, UT Austin's biggest event discovery platform. Together, we have helped countless students make the most of their UT experience. Now, I invite you to join our journey and enhance your own college experience by downloading the Cove app. Thank you. And then what's muted over there is UT star quarterback and star running back telling you to download Cove as well. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Himanshu, co-founder of Populous. Just like 50 million Americans, me and my friend were starting a fantasy league, and we were so excited. We even had best punishment picked out where the loser would have to join a bodybuilding show, so failure was not an option. But then, by week 5, half our league became inactive and dropped off, causing the other half to drop off as well. But I wondered, how was it in 5 short weeks we went from being obsessed with fantasy to completely forgetting about it? And after doing some research, we found out we weren't alone. With fewer than 30% of fantasy players finishing one season. And this, we later learned, was a big issue in the sports industry. After talking to members of the NFL, the Houston Rockets, and San Antonio Spurs, we learned that fantasy sports was a huge driver of fan engagement, especially among the Gen Z and casual fan market who aren't sports betting. So we came up with a couple issues with fantasy. First of all, it can be extremely time-consuming. Consider the NBA, with an 82-week-long season or 82-game schedule and games happening every day. It can be extremely exhausting to keep track of your lineup and manage your players each and every week. And it's not just long; it's monotonous as well. Having to do the same thing every day, where you only really see a reward at the very end of the season if you get that far. Fantasy could also be extremely frustrating. Say, if you have a bad draft or Anthony Davis getting injured again could ruin your entire season. And on top of that, even if you have a good draft, your team stay healthy, by week 5, half the league already knows that there's only 1 or 2 teams that have a shot for the championship, causing them to drop off and the league to die. And with those insights, we created Populous, a fast-paced and competitive fantasy stock market where you could buy and sell shares of your favorite athlete using our virtual in-game currency. Populous simplifies the game for casual fans. You don't have to debate whether to start a player going up against the second-best defense or a player coming off an each slump. By using trend-based approaches, we help casual fans become competitive quicker. By our use of multiple gamified modes, such as 1v1 challenges, league tournaments, and a worldwide ranking system, Populous also breaks the monotonous grind of the season by offering new and exciting rewards and challenges each and every week, helping our users to engage for the full season. Our market's also open every day, even in the off-season. So now, whenever Anthony Davis gets injured, I can just swap him out, and that makes it so every team in your league could remain competitive, and that championship's always up for grabs. And so far, things are going pretty good. We've launched on the App Store and the Play Store with over 450 users, and the feedback's been great. We've seen a daily active user rate ranging from 25 to 30%, even past week 5, and we've bootstrapped our social media to reach over 2 million views. We've even raised $25,000 from strategic investors. So that was a fun journey. Me and my friends created an app that we love and our users do too. But what we didn't realize when we started was just how valuable the data we were collecting was. After talking to companies such as DraftKings and Outlier, we learned that we had a lot of easy-to-use user sentiment data. And these companies really value the data in order to judge what players fans could be overhyping or underrating, allowing them to adjust their odds accordingly. We've received estimates that these sports betting companies would pay between $2 and $10 per user annually for this data, and if we just take a lower estimate, with 1 million users, we could easily make $2 million a year. And that's just with one contract. We could go ahead and sell the same data to other sports betting companies for a similar price, and the coolest part is, as our user base grows and scales, the data becomes more valuable and more insightful, allowing us to charge more per user. So now, you guys probably have the same question that we did when we started all this. What's stopping DraftKings or ESPN from doing the same thing? Well, firstly, by eliminating the seasonal reset that conventional fantasy sports have, we're able to maintain and create long-term multi-year leagues on our platform. And on Populous, you're not just competing against your league members, you're competing against the global community. So that way, as your league members may drop off and become inactive, like what happened in our league, you can still play. Our trend-based approach is also counter-positioned to companies such as DraftKings and ESPN that focus on the individual event-based betting that their hardcore fans love. And lastly, by being an athlete-centered platform, we have an edge to conquer the Gen Z market who are more interested in the individual athletes over teams or the sport. Populous is led by myself and Adi, and combined we have experience creating a fintech startup with over 120,000 users and working at numerous sports and gaming companies such as Red Bull Racing, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and DraftKings. And we're backed by a great team of software engineers and business interns all across top 10 colleges in the United States. Currently, we're comfortable bootstrapping, but we are opening a small ways for strategic investors with a sports and entertainment background. Over the next season, we expect to grow the user base to 150,000 users, as well as acquire a partnership with a sports betting company to pilot that trading analytics model. We're going to continue to add new sports to keep the action going, and that'll leave us in a good spot to raise a more general seed round next summer. If you want to keep up with our progress or try out our app, you can scan this QR code to take you to our link tree with links to the App Store, the Play Store, and all our social medias. Thank you.
The first time I pitched PicTag was actually just kind of an embarrassing story about me failing to ask a girl to prom. So I was talking with this girl that I really, really liked, and we were talking on Snapchat, and this was high school, so don't blame me. Snapchat was the move. And we were talking, it was going great. I was getting ready to ask, and I had the perfect meme of Baljeet and Isabella. Trust me, in context, this was the perfect meme. And I was scrolling through my phone, and in Snapchat, it shows you when the other person is on the other line. Their little Bitmoji pops up, and it shows you that they're watching. They're waiting for you to enter that text and respond to them. And I kept scrolling, and I kept scrolling, and I couldn't find the picture. I didn't go to prom that year. I stayed home, and I played chess on my computer. Anyway, everyone has experiences like this, and they're less significant, more significant, from family, from friends, from coworkers, when people want to ask for that perfect picture, and you just can't quite find it. Now, we've all had experiences like this, and that's why we wanted to come up with PicTag. We don't have control over our pictures. For all the thousands of pictures that we have on our phone, there's still no great way to go about finding the right one. In terms of what we wanted to do, me, Tyler, and Sam wanted to just build an app that lets you go and do complex queries over your own pictures. If I want to search up Baljeet and Isabella from Phineas and Ferb, I should be able to do that. Technology is at a point now that these kind of complex things that we think of in our brain is something that computers should be able to understand. We should be able to have a model that's better than just looking at dogs and cats and trees and having us have to tag people and tag things in our phone. Our phone should work for us. And that's why we got together, and over a few weeks we built a really awesome app. But what we realized when we got to pitch at Startup Crawl really recently is that we need to pivot. We got bombarded with businesses that wanted to use this for massive data sorting, for organizing images on a mass scale. So what we decided to do is develop a really easy to use API and do the same thing for businesses because they have the same problems. Businesses that are paying giant teams of people to manually comb through photos and find things. It's not necessary. So what we wanted to do is just really simply monetize this as a B2B company. We want to take this technology that allows you to find the right image and just use dynamic learning and generative networks, which are kind of buzzwords, but what we do under the hood is we go through people's entire image data set and let them search whatever they need. To give you an example, if you searched up person in front of screens with this image in our app using our service, it would bring it up. No other service that exists for consumers can do this right now. And on the enterprise side, there are a lot of startups that are making a lot of money doing exactly this. In terms of the competition, there's a lot of big competitors that already exist. Companies like Clarify, Coactive, and the problem is, not all of them have all the features that we have. What we have is everything. We have a dynamic learning network that constantly gets better. We have a model that lets you search up whatever you could possibly want. We have basic image classification that makes things even better. We attack it on every level. In terms of our market size, we also saw that when we started researching this project and getting into image classification, the AI market is huge. I mean, everyone, especially all the Swedes and business people in the room, have been hearing constantly about AI, AI, AI. And it's going to only grow. By the time we hit 2030, the market size is going to hit 1 trillion. In terms of business interests, we saw the same thing replicated in businesses that actually came up to us and wanted to work with us. One example was a Brazilian company who has all this energy manufacturing equipment that you can see right there. And they wanted to tag all the equipment that was broken. And we put their testing data set in our app, and it was able to easily recognize all the examples of broken pylons, birds' nests growing on pylon, vegetation growing on pylon. Everything that they needed to find that was wrong, we were able to do. Right now, they're paying 19 people to go through 4 million images and do this manually. That's not scalable. It's not going to work. So in terms of our roadmap, what we've already done is we've already built this app. We're already marketing to businesses, we're in talks with businesses, and we want to get a client to start generating revenue. Once we start working with them, PigTag is really, really generalizable, and we can sell it to multiple companies. In terms of our future plans, we can see that all we really need is to keep scaling up, keep scaling out, hire more people, market more aggressively, and get to more businesses. Our team is only 3 people, but we have a technology that's really, really powerful. A lot of businesses want to jump into the future with AI, and at PigTag, we live in the future. And we can pretty easily tell you the future is bright. Thank you.
Hello everyone, we're Sprout Food Solutions, and let's just jump right into the problem that we're solving. So let's look at Owen's Breakfast Club. Owen opened his club 4 years ago and now has 11 employees. And really what we're in the business of is automating the current ingredient purchase process. So let's take a deeper look into what that looks like. Step 1 is inventory checks. Right now, Owen's chef checks inventory either every morning or every night, taking around 45 minutes out of his day. Next, Owen's chef will then plan and fill these purchase orders and hand those over to the managers, which usually takes around 15 minutes simply because he has to track every single ingredient that they have to order on a week-to-week basis. Third, managers have to email, call, and fill purchase orders for vendors, which is on average around 5 to 12 vendors every week, and this takes 45 minutes a day. And the last is the food arrives, and at that point, it either gets used in the dish or it perishes and is thrown away. And in between this entire process, there's a bunch of additional hassles, whether that's knowledge loss, human error when logging and planning, additional shopping required when ingredients run out, or food that's thrown away when it perishes. And this problem sums out to around $1,800 per month that restaurants are spending in the ingredient purchase process. That doesn't include the cost of food. In addition to the cost, there's also around 54 hours that are spent across chefs, managers, and owners on this process. So how do we solve this? This is a 3-part process that we use. The first is going into POS dashboards, taking the data and putting it into a forecast, then forecasting out the amount of sales for the following week or month, and going ahead and breaking that down by ingredient and ordering on behalf of restaurants. So on the first part, which is the POS system. So POS systems are where customers will go and pay, and the good thing about these is that they very cleanly track sales data, including items, item details, time and days sold, and a lot more. So we take this raw data and put it into a time series forecast, which currently ours is operating at a 95% level of accuracy, which means that our predicted amount of sales are 95% of the actual amount. Additionally, we use a blended machine learning model, and as our restaurant clients continue to use us, our model gets better and better. Lastly, we go ahead and break those sales down by ingredient, and for large vendors, we leverage existing APIs and the portals. However, for smaller and local vendors, they will either accept it by email or call, and right now we use a text-to-speech software to automate that part as well. So what's the outcome of this? So not only do we give 54 hours back to back office workers and chefs, but we also save $1,400 in labor and $460 every month in food loss. So let's take a look at who potential clients might consider instead of Sprout. So the two main ones is Tenzo and Lineup.ai. So Tenzo focuses on inventory management and currently costs around $379 a month. And Lineup focuses on demand forecasting and charges $250 a month. And when you look at the front pages of both of these are the images that show up. And the important part here to consider is that chefs, managers, and owners realistically don't want another dashboard or pretty UI to use. They want something that's going to work for them in the background. So Sprout Food Solutions operates on a monthly subscription as well, around $350. And really the only UI a chef or a manager would ever have to use is simply their text message app, where we'll text them a link with what order we're going to have for them for the following week or month, and then ask if there's any changes, and then with a simple text of confirm, we'll go ahead and place the order and the food will show up to their door. Ideally, we're creating a future where machine learning is proactive, working for these restaurant owners rather than reactive. And as far as the North Star metric goes, we're focusing on the number of purchase orders filled. Sorry about the formatting here. Right now we're at 706, and the reason why we use this metric is because it summarizes the amount of money we save for owners, the amount of pounds of food we've ordered, and the number of hours we've saved. Thank you.
Just keep going. Yeah. There you go.
I may go back.
Yeah.
Okay, hey everyone, I'm Bobbin and I'll be telling a little bit about Edith. So about a year back, I worked at a company called Simpler. Simpler basically provides customer service to external organizations, and I worked as an integrations engineer. So I joined at the peak of COVID when basically every company was trying to figure out how to digitize their customer service. And I was on the team that figured out if we're onboarding new customers, like, do we have the right integrations for this team? Are they able to insert tickets into our system? Are we able to action the tickets well for their customers? This is quite stressful because we were onboarding so many different clients at once and interfacing between many different teams. A lot of our communication was quite scattered. Like, I would spend probably 2 to 3 hours a day on just daily syncs, talking to PMs, talking to sales reps, talking to the engineering leads, figuring out what was the current status of our projects, and trying to action however many items as I could to try and get these clients onboarded onto the system as fast as possible. This is quite inefficient. Like, I think I spoke to some of my coworkers and they were spending a good 10 to 12 hours a day working on this and just trying to go between Slack thread and Slack thread, going to Salesforce to see what sales engineers were promising to new companies that they were onboarding, talking to PMs and seeing how they were thinking about the long-term vision of the product itself. Because there was no central way to have this communication in one place, since everyone was using disparate tools to make these updates and have these different conversations. This is where we hypothesized that Edith would be a great solution to this. Edith is one centralized feed that takes all these notifications, changes, and updates from these tools and puts it in one easy-to-read feed. Because we know exactly what you're working on, since I was an integrations engineer, all the stuff that was directly related to my job, such as new changes that were happening on partner systems, updates that were happening that I needed to be aware of so I could make them on our side, show up at the top of my feed so that I'm quite aware and can make these changes directly without having to go in to Salesforce to find these changes or going directly to Tableau to see how these sort of metrics are trending. I get everything summarized ranked and triaged so it keeps me efficient and makes sure that I don't miss any crucial information that may be happening across these different applications. This entire system is powered using our data graph model that basically can layer in new information as it shows up, along with new machine learning models as they come onto the market. At Simpler and these new clients where we're starting to roll out our infrastructure, we're able to process a significant chunk of this information directly and provide it in an easy-to-read fashion for our end users. Now, while we were at Simpler, we tried adopting a couple different tools to make this problem go away. We tried Facebook Workplace, which was basically a connected feed where you could put in new information and essentially have a more connected feed to read across your company. This worked pretty well, but we found that a lot of people were having a hard time moving their messages from Slack. It turns out not that many people want to break their habits, and if you create another tool for people to put information into, they don't end up using it. We also tried a couple different search tools where people could go in and search for information that they needed to know. But it turns out like searching for information doesn't actually solve the problem because you're not going to be searching for things that you are not aware of, and it's more important that we surface that information to you directly. We found that at the clients that we have deployed EDA to, we are able to surface relevant information to people directly so that we don't have to go in and search for it using a search tool. As for some traction on our company, we got accepted into NEO, which gives us about $625K in funding. And last night we found out that we also got into the Y Combinator batch for the upcoming summer. So we're excited. Our biggest ask is that you connect us with organizational leaders who are looking to increase the signal-to-noise ratio in internal communications. We've seen this problem firsthand at companies, and we're excited to see how EDIT could help solve this problem for you. Thank you.
I'd like you all to imagine something. Vast, sunny blue skies, a cool breeze. I was in the 3rd grade when I remember laying down one day on soft, warm grass and opening up one of my favorites, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. As I read, I thought to myself, wow, I feel so at peace. This is what life is all about. Well, okay, confession, I never did any of that. Like, reading a book is not that traumatic, and I actually have a grass allergy, so yeah, I didn't do any of that. But I did actually read Tom Sawyer. Why? Well, it's because I remember a time when there was nothing I'd rather do more than read a good book. As a kid, I'd come home from school, eat my goldfish, then dive right into whatever I was reading. I could feel the nostalgia of Tom and his friend Huckleberry, feel the magic of Harry Potter, or imagine myself as the Great Gatsby before he died. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for today's generation. I remember first in high school when I volunteered at my old elementary. There, I ran an after-school program in which the first 30 minutes was silent reading. But every time, it was 30 minutes filled with anything but books. I mean, you had kids talking about their crushes, Becky, Jill, whatever, cooties, showing off their Pokemon cards, or even worse, doing homework. Like, you really didn't want to read that badly. When I asked them why, they said things like, there's no pictures, it's boring, or, I don't know. When I tried to tell them what they're missing out on, they would just kind of laugh and then just ignore me. Eventually, I kind of gave up and I just started talking about Pokemon cards with them. But this was also around the time I met Miss Mitchell. Introducing Mrs. Mitchell. For the past 20 years, she's been working as a 4th grade ELA teacher with a deep love for reading. She knows how important reading is, and beyond that, she knows how much books can enrich our lives. Throughout her entire career, she's tried her best to help students grow that same passion for books. But within the past decade or so, she's found it increasingly difficult to do so. I mean, with so many distractions, modern entertainment, and increased teacher workloads, she simply can't keep up. I mean, just take one student for instance. She has to help them find a book out of, thousands, and then she has no real way of even telling if they read, liked, or even understood the book. When we first met, we had a lengthy conversation on this topic, and that's when things started turning, when things, started clicking. That is what led to the creation of Bookwheel. Bookwheel is a web platform designed to help students turn into lifelong readers with a simple 3-step process. Incentivize, monitor, and grow. First, we give students a reason to read by using a class-wide leaderboard, level progressions, and point system, which Ms. Mitchell's class loves. Next, we help teachers track student progress through digital reading logs and AI-generated comprehension quizzes. For Ms. Mitchell, this has been the biggest plus. Lastly, we help students grow to love the process by social features through seeing what your friends are reading or writing reviews of your favorite books. To help find their next good read, we give students curated recommendations based on their interests, past book read, and grade level. Now, we made all this with our schooling background in mind, and so we have a simple yet cost-effective revenue stream of a one-time $800 base installation fee and an annual $4 per student payment model. And for that, teachers can all use this for a reasonable price. But what do they get in return? Well, to start, a 42% increase in reading, class-wide boost in engagement and enjoyment, and most importantly, a newfound appreciation for books. Now, despite the short time we've been in classrooms, teachers have already given us all this positive feedback. Why? Well, it's simple, really. It's because Bookwheel gives students that push they need to love reading and teachers the tools to promote it. So if you're a teacher, know a teacher, or just want to learn more, go to mybookwheel.com and sign up. Together, let's make reading more than just a chore.
Imagine this. It's 2020, lockdown. You have all the time in the world to do whatever you want. So what did you do? I don't know about you, but me, I watched the NBA bubble. An incredible season filled with players scoring numbers like never before, and an all-around wholesome experience. To that extent, I also got involved in trading cards. I wanted to buy a trading card with one of the players in the bubble in hopes I could sell it later for a profit. So I did what anything else would do. I went on Facebook Marketplace, typed in Jamal Murray, and bought the card. Problem was though, it took 3 whole weeks for that card to come in. And by then, unfortunately, the Nuggets had lost to the Lakers in the playoffs, so now I was left with a not appreciated asset. But to tell you the truth, I actually didn't want a Jamal Murray card to begin with. I wanted a LeBron James card. But, as he is the GOAT, his trading cards were going for significantly higher, thousands of dollars. And it's just something that an average person cannot afford. But, that was back then and this is now. There actually exists several fractionalized marketplaces that try to solve this problem by allowing you to buy fractional shares of these assets. However, they are an incomplete solution. Why? Well, because they still offer a high turnaround from the moment you buy the assets to the moment you receive it. Because there's still days it takes for that process to occur. So the real question is, what's the bridge that connects these incomplete solutions to the ideal, being instantaneous transfer times? Well, that solution is Scrapple, an instantaneous service which allows buyers and sellers to engage and exchange fractionalized ownership. As stated before, whenever you buy and sell these trading cards and these shares, these transactions transfer the ownership instantly, as well as previously buyers can still own portions of assets that are previously unattainable, and sellers now have access to more liquidity. There. But in terms of these previously mentioned fractionalized marketplaces, they're all backed by one group called the Downward Group. And in terms of that, we have got to believe that we have a competitive advantage over them. Now, in terms of our technology, for product interaction, we're actually developing proprietary technology called multi-chain, which in simple terms allows us to switch between the cheapest blockchain and offer the cheapest prices for our users in terms of transaction costs. And as stated before, we have offered instant settlement times and faster trading, which Downward Group lacks in. Now, in terms of that, we also are in talks with Quiet Protocol for a grant which allows us to subsidize our operations even further. And we've also been talking to these fractionalized marketplaces in order to get the ball rolling and offer our services. Now, in terms of our market sizing, our total addressable market is around $26.9 billion, which represents the total market for global collectibles at a 21.8% compound annual growth rate, which just goes to show how this market is increasing, people are getting more involved, and the demand is growing over the next several years. In terms of our serviceable addressable market, it's around $3.6 billion, which represents the total value of the download group services in terms of collectibles. And our serviceable obtainable market, we believe, is around $180 million, assuming that we can convert 5% of that value. Now, just how will we do it? Well, we're going to be partnering with these incomplete fractal marketplaces and helping them by being the bridge to connect them to the ideal solution, eliminating that inconvenience of waiting, that whatever days or weeks without processing time, and allowing for that instantaneous transfer of ownership. Now, how will we do this? We're going to be taking 10% of all their transactions through our service, also a monthly subscription fee for recurring revenue, and a one-time setup fee. Now, not only is it going to be offering these fractures marketplaces, they're going to be offering their users a more robust experience in terms of buy, sell, and trading, but we're also going to be expanding their user base to individuals in the web use space who can use their crypto to invest in more static and safer assets. And now, if I wanted to buy a LeBron James card, I can do so fractionally and instantly, allowing me to do whatever I want with that card, and it'll all be thanks to Grapple. So our call to action is this. Please sign up for our waitlist. We'd love to connect with you, hear your opinions, feedback, and have you follow us along for the journey. We hope you enjoy the presentation, and thank you.
Hello. My name is Arnold Paula, and we're Clips AI. We help businesses and creators repurpose their content and scale. So it's my freshman year, and I get on campus, and like every average freshman, I decide, let me start a podcast. Well, at the time, a million other people decided to start one as well in 2020 because it was a lockdown. And Ben and I are thinking, okay, how do we get our podcast in front of more people? Well, obviously, you post clips on TikTok. So because I'm lazy, I told Ben I'd create the clips and I'll post them. But every time we come in and record, he looks at me and says, I hate this, I don't have enough time, and I hate this. And I was like, okay, well, I'm learning about this thing AI, maybe that might help. But we're like, okay, let's not try that yet. And the reason why he hated this so much was because for an hour podcast, you would spend 3 to 4 hours just sitting there watching the video to find the clips. Then you have to resize them for TikTok. And then you have to, think, okay, which one of these clips will do the best? But he was almost always wrong. But we talked to a bunch, that did not come out at all. We talked to a bunch of different users and agencies that might have had this problem. And kind of when you ask why, you kind of dig deeper. Well, everyone starts with the first order problem of, well, I need to save time. But this is just a super time-consuming thing. But when you're looking at agencies, they're thinking, well, if I can save time, I can bring on more clients, which the real problem for them is I can drive more revenue. When you're talking to marketers, they're wanting to just save time so they can complete other tasks that they were assigned to drive leads and revenue. And then when you're talking to content creators, they want to save time because that allows them to focus on making quality content. And then from there, that allows them to grow the platform. So everyone had a different problem, but it all started because they wanted to save time. And so we didn't really have any other options, so we started thinking and building Clips AI. What we do is we can automatically turn your long-form podcast into social media clips within minutes and predict which clips will get the most engagement. But what does this actually look like? Well, when you get on the platform, you can easily upload a video to a file or a YouTube link. And then from there, within minutes, our AI goes through, parses the entire transcription to create clips for you. And all you have to do is just easily trim it, and then you can download, you can select the clips you like and download them off. And so after 2 months after our launch, we're already doing 500 in MRR. Now we understand that isn't real traction, but that's validation that people are willing to pay to solve this problem. But what's more interesting is how we actually got this 500. It was a Thursday and we got emailed, a user asking us, hey, how much would it cost to process 20,000 clips? At the time, we're charging about 50 cents per clip, so this is $10,000 a month. You could imagine how quickly I responded back. And when we got on the call, we discovered two things. The first was he really liked our business model. And that was because compared to our competitors, we were basing our pricing on the number of clips that you export instead of how much you upload. Because if you upload an hour-long video, you might not like any of the clips. So you pay for what you get, and that really aligns us with our users. The next was, he really liked our focus compared to our competitors. He's paid for a bunch of our competitors' products and said, it seems like they're trying to do too much at once, and none of them have really solved the clipping problem. But that's because our big thesis is you can go in depth with clipping. Not only can you segment it to coherent clips, but you can summarize the clips. There's obviously the prediction aspect of it, and much, much more. And so with that, we really think that there's a big enough market for us. There's a big enough market for a lot of different competitors. We're all focused on really different things. And kind of our vision and where we want to take this is, there's two ways. We can either become, the way I like to describe it is the AI video infrastructure. So focusing really deep on clipping and providing our API services not to just agencies who are interested in them, but also like video editing softwares like Descript and others, or we could own the entire workflow for our users. And this is my amazing team, and with that, you guys check us out at clipsai.com/register if you want to like create some clips. Thank you.
So hi, I'm here from Gazelle Eco Solutions, and we're essentially helping ranchers in drought-stricken parts of the world manage their land more sustainably by giving them a tool to estimate carrying capacity of their land and allowing them to tap into voluntary carbon markets and earn money for the carbon they sequester. We're on a mission to catalyze conservation through smart grassland management. Let's take a closer look at how we do this. So essentially, here's a big problem. We primarily operate in the Kalahari region of Africa, where there's a lot of overgrazing and desertification happening. About 55% of the Kalahari is at risk of this. And taking a look at the larger problem worldwide, over 2 billion people worldwide are affected by grassland problems like bush encroachment and wildfires, which leads to loss of savannas. So let's take a closer look at how we are tackling this. So we're building an app for carrying capacity calculation, and we offer this to ranchers 100% for free, because most of the ranchers in these rural and impoverished regions can't really afford to pay for software products for managing their land. So that's why they end up overgrazing and desertifying in the first place. So the way it works is ranchers can set up the app, and it works 100% offline because there's not always internet in these parts of the world. They enter the GPS coordinates of their ranch and the number and type of livestock that they own. And then we use Google Earth Engine's API to create an environmental vegetative index on their ranch to help classify the different ecozones. And essentially, based on some other input data that we allow them to feed in, we can estimate the carrying capacity of their land and allow them to dynamically adjust their land stocking density. So they can play around with the number and type of livestock or other animals that they want to have on their land and adjust it to their liking. So Meat Gift, he's one of our early adopters, and he helps us test our app on the ground. He's based out of Botswana, and that's where we have a pipeline of over 250,000 hectares. And most of these ranchers, their land is at risk of overgrazing, where in about 6 to 8 months at a time, parts of their land would be completely, they would completely lose their productivity, and they would have to move to new areas or allow them to rehabilitate. So, and most of these ranchers are pretty tech savvy with a median age of 24. And as a matter of fact, there's over 1.7 smartphones per capita in Africa. So adoption shouldn't be a problem. So we offer this app to ranchers for free. And the way we do this is through voluntary carbon markets. Essentially, we create carbon offset projects with these ranchers. and list them on carbon registries which issue carbon credits. And then we sell these to companies such as some of the top Fortune 500 companies who are looking to reach their ESG goals by buying carbon offsets. And we connect these two parties, and it's a win-win for both. The carbon market is valued at about $1 billion today, and it's projected to grow to $50 billion by 2030, and grow over 100 times more by 2050, making this a pretty reasonable market to operate in. And yeah, so this is some of the data which we collected from our first carbon offset project in the country, which also happens to be the first carbon offset project in Botswana. As you can see, there's over a 100% increase in soil organic carbon, and over a 138% increase in above ground non-tree biomass, which is grass. So here's our pipeline. Currently, we offset, or our pipeline is projected to offset about 1.3 million tons of CO2 over the next 10 years. And this pipeline is projected to grow to the greater Kalahari, growing to 10 million in the next year. And we're also expanding in Texas, projected to grow to 32 million. And this is our team. I'm here. I'm a computational engineer at UT. I built some of the first baseline emissions models for the Kalahari, and I mostly do the geospatial machine learning on the team. Mina Mode, he is a finance student at UT. He has experience with a VR startup in the past, and a very talented guy. This is Sid. He is a roboticist, and he also has a separate startup where he builds firefighting robots. And we also work with Dr. Thoralf Meyer. He's our chairman. He basically is a professor at UT who's been researching in the Kalahari for over 20 years. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us at team@dsl.co and visit our website. Thank you.
All right, that's everybody. Let's give everybody another round of applause. One good lesson for demo day for next time and for life in general is anytime you're giving a presentation and you give your slides to someone else, go make them show you the slides. Very common to have things like rap funny, like it looked like it all fit on one line on your computer, but you put it on somebody else's computer and it doesn't. Or contrast is a really big thing when you put things up on these screens that you can't be like, you have like gray writing on white background, you can't be the lines disappear. For demo day, this is why, if you read the instructions, we tell you we're going to export this all as a PDF. It's because that eliminates all of these issues because it always displays the same way. If you have video or animation in your deck, or there shouldn't really be much animation, but if you have video or other stuff, we can still put videos in to like show things moving or stuff, but we have to just support the whole extra of that shit because video support. But yeah, just a good example of that. And overall, I think you guys are doing a really great job. You clearly incorporated a lot of the feedback. I heard a lot of stories in there. I would just try to my overall feedback is going to next week is just don't overthink it. Like a lot of your early pitches were really from the heart and really good and exciting, and sometimes it gets to be almost like, don't let yourself get too much into I'm just presenting a slide deck kind of mode. Cool. So, any questions for next week?
So it's going to be the exact same setup.
We're going to be downstairs in the first floor. No, it's not the same setup. It should be on the stage down there. It'll be more of an audience setup.
And you said we could invite, get everyone to come on.
Yeah, you should have them register. You should have the link. You should all go out and invite. Please share that, post it. Obviously it's more fun to have a big line of people waiting out the door. And yeah, it's open to everybody.
Is this the same order you're going in for everything?
No, unclear. I'll tell you that.
How do you decide against $25,000 investment price?
Well, first, not everybody always chooses to participate. And so first we kind of get a list of everyone that's interested in it, make sure we're all on the same page, and then basically it's a decision capital that makes.
It's like a voting system.
From
Like at demo day itself? No?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Josh, one of the things I noticed is that not everyone had an ask at the end of the pitch. Are you expecting everyone to have an ask, or is it sort of?
I think that's generally good guidance. Is you have this opportunity to be up in front of everybody and in front of the audience. You should use that to have some kind of ask or call to action at the end. A lot of people say download our app or go to sign up for our wait list or things like that. But what can you ask the audience that can help you?
Two little, just kind of, I do a ton of public speaking work, but I love this tweet Josh did a while back about public speaking is a lot like stand-up comedy where it flows really easily when you do it. And so two kind of things to really target when you're thinking about prep for next week is to record yourself doing it and then listen to the little, like what I describe as the things that annoy you when you notice that you do them. So the tendencies most people are to go on too long of a list when you're describing examples, right? Like, we all had photos of, I'm picking on photos here, we all had photos of, don't give 15 examples.
Give 3 examples.
Give 3 examples, and then try to identify what your own little kind of habit statements are. You might say, phrase, for example, too many times, whatever. But challenge yourself to kind of say those things less. And so watch yourself and record yourself, and which I know we've done a little bit this semester, but challenge yourself to kind of focus on things that that's about too. So one of those little things that you can have on the list too.
Since we're going to have the adding pointers, from my standpoint, when I hear pitches, the thing that I most am looking for, because everyone's going to know you guys are early stage in your journey here, is confidence in what you're doing. This is one of the things about, I think, running a startup in general, is you got to be faster than anybody when you're there. You got to know more, you got to project more about what you're doing than anyone in the audience, which is almost always true. So when you're giving stats about the size of the market, make sure you're sizing in a way that sounds reasonable and you feel confident about it. When you're talking about how awesome the technology is, do it with a lot of confidence. When you say you're selling to businesses, everything, the more you say it all with confidence, the more likely are people to be excited all the time because they're looking for you. They're looking for your signal. And if you signal you're not confident in some aspect of it, people will automatically discount. They'll assume because you've got to be the most confident person on what you do. So a lot of that's what pitches are. When people raise money, people can raise $10 million off the bat. And they do that because they exude confidence in what they're doing is world beating. And the more you structure whatever your story, your pitch, your deck, your presentation around that one thing, I think the more successful you'll have whenever you ask for the end. And that's why I raise the ask. If you don't have an ask, people aren't going to help you because they're going to assume you don't need it. But I assume everyone here needs money. I assume everyone here is looking for mentors or advisors or clients. So have a really concrete ask, and you'll get help, I think, from people in the audience, including people in this room. But that's it.
Yeah, great advice.
I got a little bit of advice. Tell stories that people care about. Make me care about what you're doing. And actually, I need to believe that you care about the problem too. Because sometimes y'all get up here and you're just describing what you do and there's no passion about why you're doing it. Why should I care? So I think you can tell stories that make people care. I think that I'm not getting any kind of emotional pull from none of y'all, really.
Gordon likes to say that sales is a transfer of enthusiasm. Pitching is a transfer of enthusiasm. You have to transfer your enthusiasm to the audience. None?
Oh, I didn't know we were all, okay. I'm just going to talk loud since I'm on this side. I I think you guys covered a lot of what I was thinking. In fact, more. One thing that I do see a lot of is a talk about the problem and then jump right into the app where here's our features. And there's a bridge that I think needs to be covered there, which is like, you know, you would phrase it differently. We used to phrase this like, wouldn't it be great if there was something that solved this, this, and this? And then you talk about the actual features. But this is like problem and then features. And there's just no bridge there. So it'd be good to have a bridge. Like talk about what you're doing. I'm gonna pick on Gazelle for a second. And I put this in your feedback. I've heard the pitch multiple times. I still don't fully understand what Gazelle does. And it's like, I hear the problem, and I see you guys have traction, and that's all I have in my mind. I still don't know how this credits things work, right? Like, can you tell me how credits work as a sixth grader that doesn't understand anything about it before we're talking about your app, right? So like, bridge that gap, right? So I have no problem. You got a cool app and some traction. There's a bridge there I can't quite cross.
All right. Well, we got pizza. Some of our mentors here. You know, some of your last sessions with. Today was probably a little bit of a short day. If anybody, is Jamie here? Yeah. If anybody wants to ask about the investment in Capital Factory, Jamie can help talk about some of the terms of that, or you know, if you want to, yeah, if you're interested, you should definitely talk to Jamie while us here. I think that's it. All right, so Monday is the dry run, and Tuesday is actual demo day. And the doors will open at 5:30, and we'll close the doors at 6:30, so that there aren't people walking in the middle of your pitch. So, so then it'll go until about 8:30. Okay. All right, awesome, thanks.